Hi, Papa Yeager here with This Day in History. January 31st, 1865. The 13th Amendment abolishing slavery passes in the House of Representatives. It had passed the previous year in 1864 in the Senate. However, it died in the House at that time because Democrats, rallying behind this idea of states' rights, would not pass it. 1864, however, Abraham Lincoln is reelected, and with him he brings more Republicans into Congress. Having more Republicans meant that in the House they were able to pass the 13th Amendment. However, before it could go into effect, of course, it had to be ratified by the states. So once the House passes it, it goes to the states. The states did not finish ratifying it until December of 1865. Abraham Lincoln died in April of 1865, so he did not live long enough to see slavery abolished in this country. It is one of those things that I find a little frustrating, that we hail Abraham Lincoln as the person that freed slaves. That is only partially true. It kind of reminds me of my spouse is a math teacher, and it frustrates her that in elementary school, kids are taught that a rhombus is a diamond. And then they get to geometry and they don't know what a rhombus is because they were not taught properly. It's Abraham Lincoln. People always accredit Abraham Lincoln with freeing the slaves, but it was the 13th Amendment that freed the slaves, not Abraham Lincoln. Yes, Abraham Lincoln had issued the Emancipation Proclamation. However, the Emancipation Proclamation only freed slaves in the rebellious states. In the states he no longer even had jurisdiction over. They had left, they seceded, they were no longer part of the Union. So the Emancipation Proclamation applied to people that he didn't, that weren't part of the Union anymore. It did not apply to the slaves living in the border states, the states that were where the economy was based on slavery, but they remained loyal to the Union. Those slaves were not freed. That is important to note. It was a political move, it was a military move, but it was the 13th Amendment that was signed today, January 31st, 1865, that freed the slaves. It is interesting to note that this was probably, in different terms, the initial DEI initiative. And I have to wonder, with the new people in office, Trump especially, trying to abolish this idea of DEI, equity, inclusion, is he going to go after the 13th Amendment next? It's incredulous that he's already going after the 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship. But the 13th Amendment was what laid the groundwork for anything else, DEI, that came later on, because you can't have anything dealing with equality if people are living in bondage. Our country was founded on slavery. As awful as that is, that's the truth. And we need to accept that. We need to come to terms with it, not try to bury it. I'm so appalled at what's going on currently in the government. And I can't help but look at things through this historic lens of what would the current administration, would they have supported the 13th Amendment? And I'm not entirely sure that they would.